How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Factorio. So, a few things have changed in the last time since we've met. One of those being, we now have rockets. Well, some rockets. Primarily, I'm working on currently getting... Oh, that's not the button, this one. Currently working on getting ourselves a space science platform. So this is kind of what I have so far planned for it, and my goal is to do about 1,000 space science per minute on this platform. So in order to do that, we're going to need about 40 of these machines, assembler 3s, and then we're going to have 3 total crushers. We're going to need I believe it's about 10 smelters, and then I'm going to have to do circuits and actually have to do some logic on this, so that way we don't fill up all of our stuff here with unnecessary chunks. So this is what's just going to be here producing all of our space science, and currently, as you can see, it's going to continue growing out. And I really like that you can plan it out and then it will just kind of self-build, which is really nice. So that's one thing we've been working on, is beginning to set that up. The other thing is we saw that we expanded the wall. One thing I was testing out was the flamethrower turrets, which actually is really nice, and I'm also using it to burn off any light oil that we have as excess. I don't have them everywhere, but I do have them in a few spots where they have proven themselves quite useful, mainly just in the corners, particularly where we're getting attacked, or either the turrets themselves aren't enough or these are needed. And as you can see, we've pretty much fully upgraded to uranium ammo. So anywhere that uranium ammo is in the turrets is part and due because we've used most, if not all, of the armor piercing. Yeah, and I had it slowly getting filtered off and converted, which is really nice. And it looks like pretty much all of it at this point has become converted, which is good. So now we have a ton of, even up here, yeah, it's not as prevalent, but it is slowly getting exchanged for armor piercing. So that's one thing we've done. The other thing we've also done is in here in the ore section. This is actually something I was working on last night, and I need to change it over a little bit because, as you can see, this isn't quite filling this whole left lane. So I do need to at least attach probably like one of these just for now to help offset those gaps. But really this is just because I'm trying to use up these ore patches, because what I want to do here is, my goal is to kind of transition our base over to a 1,000 science per minute base. But doing that is going to involve switching over to rails, just because the belt throughput of trying to do everything purely belt based, I could do it purely belt based, but the base itself would be a nightmare to try to scale what we currently have here up to get it to 1,000 per minute, just due to the sheer amount of stuff we're gonna need. So I think having a little bit of a hybrid, I think for what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna mainly do trains for distance and capacity, and then do production modules. I know a lot of people tend to do city block in that sort of idea, but I don't necessarily want to do city block, and so I kind of have an idea for what I want to do. I want to do something that I'm pretty sure I haven't seen done before, so it's either something that's just crazy and you shouldn't do and it's just terribly inefficient, or it's something that people haven't really thought of. But what I'm thinking is using how we have a main bus here, and instead of using belt, have this be essentially a rail line. I don't necessarily need a single rail for each item, but have a main rail line. So like down here, for instance, have this main rail, and then off of it have crafting modules or crafting nodes. Obviously they won't be this close, but have it so that, oh, the rail comes in on one side, brings in our input, so all of our unloaders come in, and then they go off and either loop back, or if we do omnidirectional trains, because technically these are omnidirectional, but the rails are currently set up for one directional. Have it set up so that, so like just take red science, So say the input comes in on the right. I know it's reversed from what we have here on the belt, but say the input comes on the right, unloads, those trains then leave the station to go load back up with more raw resources to go be put in, and then the red science gets taken out on the left hand side. It gets loaded up, and then those trains, in this case, would go straight to the science depot, and then that's all they would do. And then again, staying on our branch of rail, it would continue on up, and then green circuits. Well, it would bring in raw copper and it would bring in iron. So copper and iron trains would come in, and then green circuit trains would come out. One thing I have thought of is, so similar to this here, how we have the smelting column as such, we would have the same thing with the trains. So we would have one network of either separate networks or the same networks for the train. And so that our ore trains are on their own big network that kind of is expansive and goes beyond the walls and is just really big. And then we have a more localized train network that goes from the smelters, and it can either be a dedicated, like, oh, we have an iron train for red science. It would mean a lot more trains because each production block would have its own dedicated trains, which I'm probably not going to do just because since they've updated trains, and even before the update with the trains and the scheduling, they were already pretty good and kind of balancing themselves, and we can use train stop limits to kind of help with this, is just have trains for iron, and then just anywhere that it needs iron, it's a iron drop off. So similar to what we're doing already with the iron drop. So there's one iron drop station, but 5 iron mining nodes or trains with the iron node. And so these all 5 trains will go to whichever station is more optimal for their current route. And so then it allows them to basically prioritize. And so even though we have different stations and trains, the same train might go to red science the first time, but then it might go somewhere else the second time, and so on and so forth. So it's just a one way we can do that sort of thing. And so it's just kind of my rough idea. I haven't planned anything out, but it is something we're going to be doing in our multiplayer series, or multiplayer playthrough, not multiplayer series, is scaling up to 1,000 science per minute, because we're going through it and we just want to have fun. And we've never gone mega base size. We've always done just the standard size. Well, I can't really say standard size, but we've just done a basic size base like this to get through, launch a rocket, and then that's usually where we'd call it complete. But since the new DLC no longer is launching a rocket your end, it's really just the beginning. So with that in mind, we kind of just want to play around and just see what can we do. We've never done mega base, so let's do it on our own. There are, of course, things like we do want to use blueprints, but because of 2.0, a lot of those blueprints aren't necessarily inefficient or outdated. They're just no longer the top tier, cream of the crop, best in practice designs anymore. So they're, especially since the way they changed beacons and modules, and then of course with all the new technology. My current plan is I'm not going to immediately tear everything down and start building out our base for a 1,000 science per minute. Instead, I'm going to kind of slowly work our way up. So, because I do know we can get better technology on the other planets that will help with it significantly. Part and due, the foundries on Vulcanus is something that will significantly help with just our smelting overall. So that is something that is kind of a priority. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to prioritize going to Vulcanus, even though it does seem like this is something we should really go for. I'm going to kind of just go through it naturally, so if that's where I end up deciding to go first, awesome. But what I might end up doing is setting up outposts on all the planets first, and then kind of going back and forth more so. But again, we'll see. But my plan, until we go to another planet, is to kind of fix some of our throughput issues here, as well as scale them up a little bit. So that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get to 1,000 per minute, at least in the smelting department, because the smelting is likely all just going to get torn up. But if we already have, like here, we already have 500 extra smelters. So, in my mind at least, what I might end up doing is I might just set up the smelting. I know it's going to be a waste of time in the long run, but I don't want to look at it like that, because if I look at it like that, then I'm going to say, oh, well, this part of the factory was a waste of time to have set up because I'm going to tear it down and rebuild it. I look at it the same way I do with Satisfactory, where most of the time everything you're building is temporary to a degree, and whether or not that temporary becomes permanent, well, that's really just up to you. So it might be suboptimal for now, but honestly, I don't really mind it, nor do I really care. It just means... And with robots make a lot of that sort of stuff trivial anyway, because you can just delete everything and rebuild it within like 2 seconds, so I think it's fine. And as I always like to say, play the game you want to play the way you want to play it. So somebody else in my shoes who is planning on doing 1,000 signs per minute, they might prefer to go straight for Volcanus, get the foundries, and just immediately start setting that up as soon as they have access to it, versus going through and going, okay, well, I'm going to set up all my smelters like this. It might take me 2-3 hours to do it, and then by the time I get to Volcanus, get that researched and get everything produced and brought back, oh, well, this is now outdated, so let me just tear it all down. It's fair. Each their own. But, so that's currently kind of our plan. And as you can see, we're able to launch rockets fairly consistently. However, it should be noted that we do need considerably more red circuits, as well as we do need considerably more copper than we currently are using. Occasionally we do have these issues, where, like, for instance, they attack this, but we have since upgraded our laser turrets quite a lot. So now they have plus 46 damage, they do have plus 3.3 second shooting, and I've been researching this productivity here for the steel, which was really nice. And the thing I like with this sort of productivity, and I was mentioning it to my friends, and that was not on camera, but anytime you can get productivity like this, it is leagues better than using a productivity module, because it's not slowing down your production, and it's not costing you anything. It's just free production, or free productivity. The only thing it's costing you would be science, but it's not costing you the slowdown effect of a productivity, and it's not costing you the power increase of a productivity. So this ends up being significantly better in the long run. It's definitely a investment, so to speak. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to get it now, and it's going to generate me 40%, or, well, not necessarily 40% more, but it's going to generate me 40% of the steel production that I wasn't going to have anyway. So the sooner I get this, the sooner I can get more steel. So there are some other things in here. I don't really need... Braking force can be good for trains, sort of capacity. Definitely mining productivity. Make the research speed. And logistics 3, because I do want to start working on just using blue belt. But yeah, so that's kind of so far where we're at. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we can do right now to go fix some of this copper. Because one thing that I will say, so when looking at your production graph, here, so where is it? So for instance, if we look at just our copper plate, so for instance, we're consuming about 4,000 per minute, and we're producing 5.3 thousand per minute. If I go to 10 minutes, yeah, we are producing more than we are consuming, which is nice, which means this should back up, but I don't like the current state of things. Why are these not producing more? You don't have copper. So this is just a copper issue. Oh, yeah. So then, yeah, so let's try to get more copper on the belt then. Well, actually, we can. We're gonna do it right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in a balancer. Like so. Okay. And then what I'm going to do... I'm going to do something like that. And then what I want to do is I want to grab... my one underground, like so. There we go. Oh, we don't have any more underground, but this probably isn't the most efficient way to splice it in. However, as you will probably come to see, I don't care. If it works, it works. We'll do something like that. And then, of course, this will go ahead and balance it, and then that injects 2 more lines of copper further down on the bus. And that's essentially what these are for. These are just to replenish some of those reserves. Now, it is to be noted that currently we only have 4 input to 6 output, so it's not going to be able to suffice. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is we are going to add 4 more lanes of copper. But we are going to do electric furnaces if we have them. I don't know if we have them on this world. Because I honestly can't remember if I have used them or not. I don't think we have. Because they are not on this set of production. We do have everything over here. We could do them. Brick, steel, that. Yeah, okay, so let me go ahead and get them put down then. So one of those. One of those. Okay, now we need steel, so let's go ahead and do that. So there's the steel. Then we need brick. And as you can see, I really enjoy how fast the robots are now. Okay. Set those down one. Actually, we need to find where is... It's right here. There we go. And then that will be red circuits. And then let's say that much. And just so we don't accidentally put onto that belt, we'll do that. There we go. Cool. Alright, so now we have electric furnaces getting made, and then we'll get those plopped down up here. And the segment will add 4 more lanes of copper. Plus, that way we don't have to worry about coal, because as this belt extends, 1 coal belt is more than enough to feed this many furnaces. However, it does start to become problematic the further and further you go. Trying to think, did I do anything else? Oh, I did finish up these train stations. I like the loading that we have set up, but I'm not sure if I like the balancing, because so it balances here 8 to 8, but then it goes from 8 to 16. Or no, this is more than 16. 2, 4, 6, 8. No, it is 16. Because then it goes 8 to 16, but I don't like this part because this doesn't properly balance it. This just, because this is 50, 50. So the outside ends up getting starved, and then down here ends up not getting as much. And so I do need to do a better 6 or 8 to 16. I need to find one. I mean, I guess I could design one, but honestly, the balancers didn't really change, so I'll just find one. Yeah, so this is a good example. Like, it looks like it's full, but what's actually happening is there's more iron on this leftmost one than there is on this rightmost one, causing issues. I like the stackers for these, by the way, but I think I'm going to remove about most of them, Just because right now we don't really have that capacity for that many trains. And because when I was up here looking at our unloading station, I was doing the math, and we need I think it's about 13 trains or something total. Where's my... Because each one's 8. So we need about 8. Yeah, because it's a 282. We need 56 iron cars full, and then we need, I think it's 40. Yeah, 40 copper. So we end up needing about 13 or 14 trains total. And so I was doing the math, and I was like, okay, well, our stacker here has 10. And then this is another 3, because assuming each of these has 1 train, although this one's going to end up being coal or stone or something. I mean, we'll end up having a stone and a coal one, but just thinking of the iron and copper, we only need like 13, 14 trains total. So I'm like, okay, well, this is a 10. So then 1, 2, plus however many stations. So that's 12 trains just between these 4, or these 10 plus these 2. And so I'm like, okay, well, we're not going to have just these 2 unloading stations, because this is only 16 lanes. This is only 16 lanes, and we end up needing, I think it's something like 48 lanes. Yeah, 48 iron lanes and 32 copper lanes. So we need 2 copper unloading. We need 4. Not 4. We need... we need 3 iron unloading. It is 48. Okay. Yeah, we need 3 copper. I don't know why I'm saying copper. I think it's because I'm staring at my notes right now and I'm reading copper. I need 2 copper unloading stations for 32. I need 3 iron unloading for 48. There we go. We got it. All right. But anyway, I think that's what we're going to call it for today. Mainly just kind of recapped over anything and everything that we did today. If there's any questions that you guys have, leave those down below. And as always, make sure you smash the like button, as it really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns, tips, tricks, and anything else under the sun, leave those down below. Also, if anybody has an 8 to 16 balancer to save me like 10 minutes of Googling, that would be really great, guys. Yay, leave that down in the comments. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one, and peace out.